Hello everybody, as usual it's good to be with you. I thought we'd get together today and just do a short guided meditation, about 20 minutes, and we'll just close our eyes, relax together. I'm going to be doing the sense of being meditation, which I can do equally well with eyes open or eyes closed. You do whatever meditation makes you comfortable. If you want to try the sense of being meditation, that's just simply noticing the aliveness that's in the body. That's just that core aliveness. If you were in a sensory deprivation tank, you would still know that you were alive, even though nothing would be coming from the senses. How is it that you would know that? What's that feeling? We just begin to notice that feeling, and then we just continue to notice it. There's really nothing to it. It's just noticing that aliveness, and we can begin to notice it in the body. Maybe we can find it in the hands or the face very easily, sometimes the feet, maybe the hara if you're used to Zen meditation, or the heart. Wherever we find it, what we want to notice is that that's only a theoretical starting point. It's just a place for us to begin to notice consciously what we already are. That there's actually no boundary to that aliveness. It's not captured by the body. The body, in fact, is captured by that aliveness. And I say that we want to notice what we are, because we cannot actually touch base with what we are, as I hear, because we already are it. So since we already are it, can we possibly touch base? No, it's not an unskillful way to say things, but we want to be able to use language without believing it. So we can say to each other, well, let's just touch base with what we really are, but let's understand that what we mean by that is that we're noticing what we really are. We're noticing that we are this aliveness. This is what we actually are. We're just this, that we are this aliveness without which nothing can happen, and with which everything happens. You are not reliant upon manifestation, but manifestation is totally reliant upon you. Without your presence, without this simple sense of being, nothing else can be. You are what is primary. We sometimes say, let's connect to what we are. But there's no way to connect with what we are, because we are already it. We can't disconnect from it. We can't be disconnected from it, because we are it. We just don't notice it. So sometimes we say, well, I need to connect, and what we're really meaning is that I need to consciously notice what I already am. That's all it is just consciously noticing. When we say come to find our true nature, it's just a phrase. It's not an unskillful phrase, but it's not a true phrase, because we can't find what we already are. What we can do is recognize it. We can notice it. We can recognize. We can recognize that what's noticing this conscious aliveness is not other than that conscious aliveness. We don't discover our true nature. We discover the nature of our true nature. In other words, we take our attention and we turn it back on itself, and we notice, this very attention with which I am looking is what I'm actually looking for. What I'm looking with is what I'm looking for. this phrase occurred to me shortly after I woke up in 2006, and I thought that it was a wonderful pointer. I had never heard it before. I didn't think anyone else had ever heard it before. So I felt like I had the great pointer and I was going to wake up the world with it. And I actually did wake up my best friend with it, but no one else. Some years later, I was surfing the internet and I came upon Locke Kelly's website. He's a spiritual teacher in New York. I haven't been to his website in years, so I have no idea what it looks like now, but at that time it was a pretty simple affair, and across the page it was written, "What you're looking with is what you're looking for." And I thought, look at that, Locke. Golly, he has stolen my pointer. How can this be? And then what I noticed was that Locke had attributed that saying to St. Francis of Assisi. And it really moved me because I realized that the saint and the rascal had seen exactly the same thing, because there's only one thing to see. And when I say see, that's not unskillful either, but neither is it true. We cannot see our true nature. We are our true nature. We cannot see attention. We are attention. We cannot see awareness. We are awareness. So what St. Francis and I both meant was that what I'm looking with is myself. What I'm looking with is myself, because we cannot see ourselves. We can only be ourselves. We can only be our true nature. There's no way to objectively see over there in the distance the truth of what we are. And that's what almost all of us are holding out for. That's what I was holding out for. I just couldn't wait until the Fred character woke up. It's just going to be great. What I want you to notice here is that we don't have to be in any particular state. We're relaxed, but I can open my eyes. You can open your eyes if you want. Because we're not doing anything actually mystical here. Meditation is just a very practical tool for helping us come out of denial. That's what it really is. Because that's what's really going on here. We're never separated from our true nature. We can't be. There's only one thing going on, and you're it. Now, I can say the same. I can say there's only one thing going on, and I'm it. But the it that we're both talking about is the same thing. What's looking out of my eyes right now is the same thing that's looking out of your eyes right now, whether your eyes are open or closed. Whether you're looking at a dark field or a well-lit field, it's the same thing. I put a little film on the internet today, 1 minute long, of Willie and Jack, my two dogs, playing. And that, what's looking through their eyes is what's looking through our eyes. There are 7 billion humans on this planet alone. God only knows what kind of life there is elsewhere. But what's looking through those 7 billion sets of eyes simultaneously is you. It's the same thing. It's the one thing. What's looking through the eyes is the same, and what it's looking at is not other than itself either. Because there's actually no looker. That's just a phrase when we say, well, it's you looking out. It's really just looking out. It's just looking. It's just attention looking. This is the reason that we can't find ourselves as long as we are in search of ourselves. We can't find our true nature as long as we're looking for it. And I remember how frustrating that was. I remember how what I did was then pretend, okay, well, I'm going to pretend now that I'm not looking. I see the error of my ways, and I'm not going to look for my true nature anymore. The only problem with that was that I wasn't actually in charge. And what I discovered was that I couldn't not look for my true nature. I had to look for it, because that's what the unit was doing. When I say I had to look for it, now I'm talking about attention, but at that time I thought attention was named Fred. But you may notice that you have attention too, and that you don't call your attention Fred. And when I say that you have attention, that again is not unskillful means, but neither is it true. You do not have attention. You are simply not other than attention. Neither are you limited to being attention. You're not limited to being attention any more than you are limited to being the single body that's joining me in this meditation. What's listening to my voice is just using a mechanism we call Fredness, but it's oneness using Fredness, and it's oneness using you-ness to use Fredness, to bring greater clarity to Fredness. It's because there's just the one thing going on. See, this is what we mean by when we say one thing going on. What we mean is that there's just one. Count them. Hold up your finger. Count how many one are. It's one, isn't it? It's just one, and it's so simple, and it's just so there and so here and so obvious that we just can't get it, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get our minds to hold the truth. Can't happen. The mind cannot hold the truth because the mind is a part of the truth, and the part cannot contain the whole. The whole, however, can hold the part very easily. But when consciousness is holding one of these human parts, holding just being a useful term, when consciousness is experiencing itself as one of these humans, would be a more accurate way to put it, it gets confused. I'm not saying it makes a mistake. I'm not saying it's not part of the plan. But consciousness becomes confused and thinks that it is the human being that it's experiencing itself as, and it's not the human being. After all, there's just one thing, and the human being and its entire relative world is included in oneness. So you are the human being, but you're not limited to being the human being. You are the human being, and also you are that which holds the human being. You are the part and the whole. And we say this, not that the part is other than the whole, but the part is experienced as other than the whole. And when we believe this experience, and this experience generates thoughts, because as this experience rolls along, it bumps up against conditioning. Conditioning rises to meet circumstances. thoughts appear, and we just think are ours. That those thoughts are ours. But they're not. They're not yours. They're not mine. They're just thoughts. They're just arising spontaneously. When I believe the thoughts that seem to appear in what seems to be a Fred's head, so let's just make it simple and say that when I believe my thoughts, that not being a true statement, but when I believe my thoughts, I suffer. Because the first thing that has to happen, it only takes one believed thought to make a believer. And once I have a believer, I have a center. Once I have a believer, then I have a Fred or a Bob or a Doris or a Carol or whatever it is. And then I suddenly go from the great unknowing, which is where I don't know who I know that I am, but I don't know what I am. I can't say where I am other than here, because that's where I always am. I'm always here. And there's nothing actually, but I'm not living in the now, I'm living as the now. This here is not, I'm not in the here, I am the here. When I believe that I am this single being, then I have a benchmark for the universe. I am the center, I am the important one. All of you count, but not very much. I'm what counts. I'm the important one. And things should be going my way. It's only natural that things should be going my way because I am the center of the universe. That's going to be the perception of every unit. And you can see why we're tearing the planet apart so quickly, so thoughtlessly, so incredibly. I mean, what other species would bump itself off its own planet? As well as every other species, too. But I think I've got to get mine. I have a video on noticing abundance. It's not too long. It's well worth your watching. So we can notice our abundance, we'll be a little less grabby. Because there's plenty, there's not enough for all of us out there, but there's plenty for one of us. And there's only one of us, and you've already got everything. So we need these little rabid human beings to stand down a little bit. But they cannot stand down from their present level of thinking and being and seeing. We have to evolve into a different sort of being, almost like a mutant. You are that different sort of being. I am that different sort of being. Not everyone on the planet is, but not everyone on the planet has to be. There just have to be enough of us. And if my being concerned about the fate of the earth loses me enlightenment points in your eyes, so be it. I am concerned about my neighbor. Jesus was concerned about his neighbors. Buddha did not run away after becoming enlightened. He came back to the world out of compassion, even though he knew he would not be understood very often, if at all. Gandhi didn't have to break India out of bondage, but he did. We don't have to do anything either unless we want to live skillfully, unless we want to live from the light of truth, which is outside of the dream, and allow it to shine into the dream so that we can be more skillful humans, we can be more loving humans, and we can be oneness itself in a skillful and shining manner. Thank you so much. It's been a joy to be with you. come back. See you later. Bye-bye.